This spot we'll be checking out the new Ash Williams from Evil Dead 2 6-scale figure from Sideshow Collectibles. For displaying options, Ash Williams gets himself a hexagonal black display stand featuring Evil Dead 2 on the front. Having already looked at the Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th Part 3D, kind of feel as if for what they've done with the Star Wars properties, I wish that they had incorporated some additional pieces that could have gone to the sides and not just solely relying on the black hexagonal display stand as a sole means for displaying. Getting a look at the figure itself, really happy with how he ended up turning out. Gotta be honest though, when I saw initial production images of what this guy was going to look like, I was a little apprehensive. I know, apprehensive of an Evil Dead Ash. I really did think that the face sculpt was going to be a weak outing. And now, surprisingly, actually in hand, I think the Ash looks really good. To be fair, though, I do feel like the head could be slightly a little too long, but then like going back and looking at some of the images of Bruce Campbell, he just generally has a very long head. Face sculpt wise, really happy with how he turned out. Love the additional blood that they've added not only to the sides of his head, but also soaked around the side portion of his ear there as well. He's got little gashes and just little cuts and stuff all throughout his face. And I do also like the fact that they gave him just a little bit of Bruce Campbell in there as well. The raised eyebrow, really nicely done. Now, truthfully though, if this is going to be an Evil Dead Ash release, and Sideshow Collectibles may only be releasing this one guy, an extra head sculpt could have also gone a little bit of a long way too, because after all, having seen Evil Dead, if you haven't seen Evil Dead, shame on you, but if you see Evil Dead, I mean, Bruce Campbell is a very expressive actor, and there's a lot more zanier sculpts that they could have also incorporated there as well. Maybe not necessarily 3 or 4 different face sculpts necessarily, or what they could have also done too is had a faceplate that actually seamed itself right down the side portion of his head, where you could have actually taken plates off and replaced them. Not really sure how that necessarily would have worked, but at least if anything, a second head sculpt I think could have also gone a long way. This being the sole head sculpt that gets included with this figure release, it's actually the best of both worlds. You get that just that little bit of sarcasm with the raised eyebrow, but then you've also got the stern, heroic look that Ash is as well. Some of the other things I like about the face sculpt too is that they incorporated some just additional stubble that's been added or starting to grow on Ash's face. Just some dirt as well. It's not a clean, pristine face sculpt in any stretch of the imagination. If they had gone a lighter tone, I don't know if it would have read as well. They picked the proper facial flesh color, if I can be completely honest, that I think it only adds to a sculpt that was already good. If the paint was just slightly off, just the very slightest off, I think it could have ruined this head sculpt. But paint is good, sculpt is good, overall, really happy with it. Outfit-wise, they've got him with his ripped shirt, his ripped blue shirt here. That has nice, just mud and caked stuff all over. I like the additional tears that they've run down the sleeve section here of his arm. The ripped collar also been completely taken clean off, and a good exposed portion there of Ash's torso is visible. He has some chest hair there as well. Now, because he is a 6-scale figure, you're going to maybe see some of the inner workings not hideable. I guess they could have actually just cleaned that right up and smoothed it off rather than making a very jagged a torso piece. But nonetheless, I mean, it doesn't really bother me too much. If that's going to bother me, then something like an elbow hinge is going to bother me as well. Well, like, why is an elbow hinge there? Well, the elbow hinge is there because he's also a 6-scale figure. Nice vein work here running down. Maybe a little on the dark side, but again, if he has gotten mud and stuff caked all over his skin, something like this is not the coloring of his vein, it's just simply just mud and stuff that's been added as well to his arms. Blood splattered all down the arm section, blood as well, also on his knuckle. Small additional touches of detail too is the little hook that's on the side of his strap here, which actually would attach itself to the chainsaw pull, in which he could just rev up and start his included chainsaw. The pull, by the way, is not something that you can stretch out, but it's nice that they would have incorporated that into his torso outfit. As well as some nice button work running down the front section of his shirt and in his pocket. There's a nice close look at the really nice also choice of fabric. The fabric does have a real world look to it as well. Some nice stitching there running around the shoulder section and to the back, which makes up most of his harness. With a closer look at that, some nice strapping here running down the side. This section will hold his included shotgun. Straps running around the back there. Back section of his pants also have some nice additional dirt and mud added to that. His pants also don't get unscathed by this additional just caked mud. He's got some nice mud that's been added to the lower cuff, lower pant leg area of his pants. He's got some rips there also on the sides, and just again really overall nicely done here on Ash. There's the undersides of his boots as well as the sculpting here of his laces. The boots are plastic and they don't run all that high, they just clear past his ankles here. Let's get a look here at his chainsaw. Ultimately though, I mean again, they could have added additional accessories such as a severed arm stump, not one that has been bandaged up, but you're probably likely going to be displaying him with the chainsaw. There's no need, I would say, necessarily for a stump to be added there. The chainsaw has some phenomenal looking paint that's been added. The blade itself has blood splattered all over it. Here's a good close look at the chainsaw. The pull you can't literally pull it. It's fixed just by a very small cord, so obviously don't be tugging that in any way at all. It's a nice additional black wash that's been added to the interior there of the chainsaw. Just really rusted. Even right down to little areas such as the switches have been incorporated there as well, and the bolts and screws keeping the chainsaw together. Alright, let's get a look at the accessories that come included with them. The largest and most grotesque of the batch, he gets the severed head of Henrietta. Beautiful looking piece, if I can say beautiful, because it just looks like a nightmare. Beautiful looking though paint on it as well. It doesn't really serve much purpose other than just it could be sitting on the display stand alongside Ash. Just a garish looking sculpt though on it. Garish in a good way. Just the wrinkles here. Of course, the severed portion of the stump on the back portion there, on the back section. There's a close look at the teeth and the tongue. Just ew, but still really cool though. He also gets himself his shotgun here, which actually does open up, and you got to be careful with these because these are removable. He does have removable shotgun shells. There's one of them right there. The other one actually is still in there. I would not likely ever remove them, but I do like the idea that you can hinge open and close the shotgun depending on how you want to have them displayed. Ash would not be complete without the Necronomicon. The Necronomicon is also included here as well. The book does not open, and I feel like it could have just had a little bit of an extra darker wash to it because it does come across a little on the light side. It does look quite good though. Maybe they actually could have incorporated as well the tape recorder, which would have also had the summon on it, the chant on there as well. But included to have a Necronomicon to come included with Ash, gotta have that. I'm glad they actually incorporated it. And rounding out the remaining, he has 3 additional interchangeable hands. He gets a relaxed palm that has some additional blood splattered on there. Now the relaxed palm can also house the Necronomicon. Fits very easily inside, doesn't go anywhere, as you can see. Also gets himself a fist, as well as a partially closed gripping hand. You'll see as well all of the hands have supplied pegs, which is something that goes a long way for me. There's been countless times taking a hand out of the socket where the peg just did not want to go with it. Instead of fighting, because you don't actually get extra pegs included, each hand, by having their own pegs, saves a lot of hassle as well. Ash's head sits on a ball joint, so you have a full range of motion all the way around, as well as the head hinges up and down. For both arms, the arms hinge outward. Even though this arm also has the additional fabric that's been incorporated to it, it hinges perfectly fine out. It doesn't seem restricted at all by the motion or of the fabric bunching itself around the hinge itself. He does have a double hinge elbow. That is also a double hinge elbow in the chainsaw section of his arm, but both arms are exactly the same. I hinge back and forth. You can also rotate the arms side to side, and a rotation and hinge in the individual hand. I say individual hand because obviously this hand here, well, it's a little cut off. Torso has a crunch up and down. You have to be a little careful when moving this too, that the straps don't accidentally separate from themselves, because they're only attached by the ring section here. And he does also have a secondary ball joint at the base, right where it attaches itself to the waist. Legs give you a fairly good range of motion. They get a little tight at the top here when you start moving the leg too far forward. About the same on bringing the leg back as well. The legs split out. He has a swivel cut, actually not at the 3/4 thigh, but actually at the top portion of the thigh. Double hinge on the knee, and finally a full rotation on the foot, and hinge via a ball joint that's attaching the foot to the actual leg socket. Final looks, I've just put the shotgun into the holster so you can see that it does sit in place. It's a little hard, a little awkward to kind of get it further down. You have to kind of just finagle it a little bit to get it to slide into place. And there's really not a lot holding it in place, so do be careful. You might want to even double up and tie these knots off a little bit better than what they are, so everything kind of stays together. I still can't believe initially I was actually going to pass on this guy. Truth be told, the head sculpt really didn't sell me from online photos. Now that I've actually got this guy in hand, I'm pleasantly surprised with how he turned out. Granted, yes, of course, he could have come with some additional accessories. A tape recorder would have been a nice touch as well. And I think he's a bare bones release. He's kind of to the same vein that the Friday the 13th Jason Voorhees that we just recently looked at is, in the sense that, sure, Sideshow Collectibles could have incorporated additional head sculpt. I think more importantly, it suffers more for Jason than I think it does for Ash. A zanier, more crazier head sculpt could have gone a long way here for this 6-scale figure release, but still, the defaulted head I think is perfectly fine. If you guys are fans of Evil Dead and Ash Williams, this is a figure I would highly recommend. For those new to this channel and certainly have not had a chance to subscribe, you are one click away. Click that subscribe button and you can check out a ton more videos always being uploaded here on YouTube. As well, if you guys are fans of Evil Dead or Ash, I have a ton more playlists ranging from different figures and collectibles for this movie franchise, and also a ton more playlists as well. In the meantime, today's spot, we were having a look at the Evil Dead 2 Ash Williams 6-scale figure release. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.